This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on October the 7th in the year of our Lord 2025. And I'm starting off a little late tonight. I'm sorry about that. The kids are on fall break, and my wife and I decided to take them to Great Wolf Lodge so they could play in the water park. So we're here around Cincinnati, Great Wolf Lodge. And that's why I'm running a little bit late, but let's go ahead and jump over here to Murtech on Rumble. Okay, this is the video you're watching right now, my episode 1708. Let's go ahead and get into that. I'm going to get right to this. Let me pause that, close this out, slide down here, and click the Show More button to expand the description box out. Let's go ahead and get started here with Black Conservative Perspective. MSNBC turns on deranged Democrats facing calls to withdraw over text fantasizing killing Republicans. Amazing. Boy, I tell you what, those Democrats are the inclusive, peace-loving people, aren't they? Let's see what they have to say. I'm going to start this out about the 7-minute and 52-second mark. So hopefully if Rumble takes off here, we'll be in good shape. Just waiting on Rumble. Rumble was acting a little bit strange earlier, so I'm hoping this will take off. I mean, when I tried to get into my Rumble studio, my live stream, it was acting a little bit weird, so hopefully I can get this live stream going here. Looks like it's ready to go. Just waiting on the video to start playing. I don't know. But anyway, how's your day been?
Out of the race. Now, if this was a Republican, right? If a Republican had fantasized about killing Democrats and was running for Attorney General,
There we go. There we go.
know what Democrats would be saying. They'd be hooping and hollering.
Okay,
They'd
I'm
be
not
like,
getting any audio here. I'm
MAGA
not understanding why.
A MAGA extremist is running for Attorney General. He said he wants
Let
to
me
kill
know
us.
in the chat if
Right?
I don't understand why I'm not getting
They would
audio.
be putting the pressure on Republicans to force that candidate to drop out of the race. But when it's one of their own, they're slow walking it, right? They ain't really got that much to say about it, and they're not calling for this individual to drop out of the race. Should. So without further ado, let's learn a little bit more about this situation from the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin.
President Trump is joining calls for Virginia's Democratic Attorney General candidate, Jay Jones, to drop out of his race after text messages resurface of him justifying a political assassination of the state's former GOP House Speaker, Todd Gilbert. We want to warn you the messages are violent. Here you go. Jones writing in 2022 a quote, 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time.
Wow.
Joining us now is the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin. Governor, he's a Democrat, I get it, but when you saw this, you thought what?
I thought this was a joke because no one could write this. I mean, no, this is demented. And here we have the Democrat candidate running for Attorney General, the top cop in Virginia, wishing not only that he had 2 bullets to put in a guy's head, but then he wishes death on his children. And Todd Gilbert has small kids. And for Jay Jones to wish death on his small children is beyond belief. But that is where the violent left of the Democrat Party is. This is where these folks are. You know, we had Charlie Kirk assassinated, and so many folks celebrated in the far left. We've had two Democrats threaten to murder 2 of our delegates running for office in Virginia, and now Jay Jones comes out and says that he has 2 bullets for Todd Gilbert's head and wants to see his children die. I mean, this is unbelievable. And what's shocking also is that after calling for the normal apology, the Democrat candidates, Abigail Spanberger and the rest of them, were out campaigning this weekend like it was nothing. They have got to call for this guy to resign, step down, get out of this race in disgrace, because this is beyond disqualifying. I mean, they're asking people to vote for this guy to be the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Meanwhile, we have the best Attorney General, Jason Miyares, in the nation, and everyone in Virginia should step forward, rehire Jason Miyares, and demonstrate that Virginia stands for the values that not just hold our country together, but we reject all political violence, and we reject anyone that would call for violence on a child. It's unbelievable. Winsome Sears immediately came out and condemned this, and Abigail Spanberger gave the normal, oh, it was wrong, and then's back out campaigning with all the Democrats calling for this guy to win. This is nuts, and this is why the Democrat Party has lost touch with where America is today, when they can support someone who wants to put 2 bullets in somebody's head who's a political arrival and see his children die.
So
yeah, I mean, this is spot on. He's 100% right. The only thing I would say at this point is that I don't even know if it's a far left thing anymore, right? Like, again, what I saw after Charlie Kirk has convinced me that it ain't just the far left, right? There are significant portions of people on the left who are cool with political violence, right? Again, this is seeped into the establishment politics of the Democrat Party. We already see that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they're facing pressure from the far left to do anything they can to stop Trump. I've read stories about how Democrats are being told by their Democrat Party voters that if you're not willing to get shot, if you're not willing to die for the illegals, then you're not built for this, right? You're not built for it. That's how extreme the base of the Democrat Party has become. Now, again, the political risk here for the Democrat candidate in the governor's race against Winston Sears, who's the Republican candidate in Virginia, is that if voters are motivated to get out and vote against this guy, which voters should be motivated to vote against this guy, that could provide a boost to Winston Sears, right? So, in my opinion, I'm kind of low-key hoping that he's so arrogant and that Democrats just kind of, ignore and move on, that he stays in a race. And if he stays in a race, hopefully that drags down the Democrat candidate for governor, Abigail Spanberger, right? Hopefully it drags her down. It helps Winston Sears because you have more Republicans that are motivated to vote against this guy, and hopefully they vote for her. But yeah, she has to run a better campaign overall. But certainly this is a boost, right? So if this guy is so arrogant and he stays in because Democrats feel like they could just get away with this, they could just ignore it and move on and not call for the guy to step down or to force him to step down, then it could end up backfiring because the negative effects of it will spill over and affect other Democrats who will be guilty by association and because of their silence.
Abigail Spanberger, who's right now leading your lieutenant governor, wants to be governor by about 5 points, said this: I spoke frankly with Jay about my disgust with what he said and texted. I made clear to Jay that he must take full responsibility for his words. I will always condemn violent language in our politics. And he came out and did. And he said that he says, I have reached out to Speaker Gilbert to apologize directly to him and his wife and their children. I cannot take back what I said. I can only take full responsibility and offer my sincere apology.
Apologize for
She feels
something
as though
like that.
Spanberger feels, the congresswoman feels that's enough. And you?
Not even close. The only satisfactory answer here is to step out of this race in disgrace. And gosh, I'm sorry, is nowhere near together her cabinet and was trying to name her Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security. And this guy shows up and said, by the way, I said I was going to put bullets in the head of my political rival, and I hoped his children these demented things about a political rival and his children to all the moms in Virginia. This is somebody, this is whose children to die.
So,
and I can't believe Virginians for a second will allow this to happen.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't know if the Democrat Party voters actually have a moral compass, to be honest with you. Again, I have questions about anybody who's willing to vote Democrat and their morality at this point in time because I'm not entirely sure, considering what the Democrat Party has showed us over the past 4 to 5 years. Maybe the boost that she needs, and it's a race, and Democrats tried to skirt past this and pretend like, oh, it's not a big deal. It can and will be used against the Democrats. So that being said, you guys, specifically the in New Jersey and some of these swing states, vote. Okay, get out and vote. Elections are coming up. We cannot allow Democrats to revive their party, right? Because if they end up sweeping, right, especially the far left loonies, who are going to get a lot of momentum from Zohran Mamdani likely winning the New York City race. So if that happens, along with, you know, Democrats winning some of these governor's races, yeah, it's not going to be good, right? It's going to be a bad sign. I think that we still have some time to go, again, until the midterms. So, you know, it's not the end of the world if they end up sweeping. But I think at this point we can play spoiler by picking off one or two of these races. I think that race out in New Jersey really is probably the best chance that we have of playing spoiler for Democrats in this election season. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Okay, folks, there you have it. Let me go ahead and click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Black Conservative Perspective. I am following the channel. There we go. I'm giving him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. And I'm sorry if my audio is a little weird. My headphones and microphone don't seem to be working. So I apologize for that. Let me jump back here and move on. Well, first, let me give a shout out here to MSSN. Just started following my channel. Boron Dango 45 just started following my channel. Laylar 64 just started following my channel. B Hills 310 just started following my channel. Jog Aha 31 just started following my channel. And Denny 501 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, Stan K502 and Debbie BS reposted my episode 1707. D Howell the fourth, I think that is, just started following my, commented on my episode 1706. Big John Perez and Debbie BS commented on my episode 1707. And Deed 77 commented on my extra 492B. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I definitely appreciate your support. Okay, let's move on down here to Vince Dow. Drama erupts in Virginia election. He's going to be talking about the same thing, about this Democrat AG. Anyway, Virginia election as top Democrats implode over candidates' violent texts. Let's see what Vince has to say about this. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Democrat Party for you. That's all.
All right. Hello.
All I have to say. Democrat Party. And by the way, unless every single Virginia Democrat comes out and says, we disavow and condemn his entire candidacy, we're going to push to take his name off the ballot, or he's not going to be able to run next to the Democrat label, right? Unless that happens, unless you see an organized push for that, unless the national DNC officially says you're not affiliated with us anymore, then I am in my full right to say normal Democrat. because this is the candidate that they run and they support, right? I don't want, even if they put out a vague statement saying, we condemn what he said. Okay, I don't care if you condemn what he said. Are you going to acknowledge that this vile lunatic should not be any representative of your party? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to keep letting him run. Well, it's update time. Do you think a single Virginia Democrat has disavowed this guy, much less called for him to drop out of the race? No, as a matter of fact, they're openly defending him, which should not be all that surprising given the fact that this is exactly who the Democrat Party is. As we've been saying, they are the party of political violence. There is a very close relationship between the violent left and Antifa and the Democrat Party itself. And for whatever vague, broad condemnations we get of political violence from Democrat politicians, it ultimately falls short because not only do actions speak louder than words, but in this case, even the words of Democrat politicians speak louder than their own words. And let us not forget the famous slogan, ladies and gentlemen, that silence is violence. Remember being told that back in 2020 and throughout the years? Well, in this case, I'm going to use the same exact thing. By being silent, or forget silent, actually defensive of political violence, the Democrat Party is in itself committing political violence. But in today's video, we have some major updates on this scandal currently erupting in the Virginia 2025 elections. This, of course, comes after the AG candidate in that race, Jay Jones, the Democrat, basically was leaked and found to have made a bunch of violent threats and texts against Republicans, including fantasizing about shooting them and even taking the lives of their own children. Yes, that is correct. The texts are vulgar, they are obscene, they're obviously murderous and deranged. Let's not forget that they were even sent to a Republican lawmaker, so this is not even something he was really trying to hide. And I'm glad to say now that after we were maybe, I don't know, the first conservative channel to cover this story just a couple of days ago, this has now become a national story. It is not something that the local candidates are exactly going to be able to run away from. But ladies and gentlemen, as I said, it shouldn't come as a major surprise that not a single Virginia Democrat candidate is calling for the guy to drop out of the race. Even the local and state parties are just openly defending the guy altogether. And let this be yet another example of, hey, when Democrats say things, you should just believe them, right? There's no other way to interpret their defense of violence than a defense of violence. This is exactly who they are. And by the way, I think it's going to be a really interesting referendum in November, given that it's a leaning blue state. Democrats are favored, but it is winnable for Republicans, that it's going to be a question of how many of the Democrat voters feel the same exact way, right? Because 40 years ago, this would have been a scandal that absolutely takes you out of a race, regardless of who you are as a candidate. Does that still ring true today? Or is it the case that, as we've shown you in polls, there's also a sizable portion of the Democrat voter base, according to the numbers, 50%, who support the same exact unhinged garbage? But we'll tell you about that. We'll also show you how this is affecting the early voting and polls and odds of the race itself later in the video. So let's get into all of it, guys. A lot to talk about here. First, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. That's the best way to support our work and ensure that we can keep doing these videos. And that said, let's bring you some of the introductory details, and I'll briefly recap the text as well. So, as you can see from the New York Post, Virginia Beach Democrats, this is the official party, by the way, is still backing the Virginia AG nominee Jay Jones, despite the violent texts against Republicans, as Abigail Spanberger, this is the candidate running for the governor position as the Democrat, is refusing, the top of the ticket is refusing to disavow him. Let's tell you the story. Democrats are shamelessly standing by the party's scandal-scarred attorney general nominee after vile texts surface of him fantasizing about then Republican State House Speaker Todd Gilbert being assassinated. Now, the Virginia Beach Democrat Party is insisting that Jones will, quote, serve with accountability and integrity, and gubernatorial nominee Abigail Spanberger has refused to disavow him despite the sickening text messages where Jones fantasized about Gilbert, quote, the Republican House Speaker, quote, getting 2 bullets to the head and then calling his young children, quote, little fascists, which he further went on to say that's why it would be justified to celebrate or have the fact that the kids were in like a school shooting or something. Like he literally said that. It's really deranged. Feel free to go watch our prior video if you want the full details of everything that was said here. But nonetheless, here's the response from Virginia Beach Democrats saying, quote, recent press may have spotlighted past mistakes, but we say let those without sin cast the first stone. Okay. So first of all, they're just trying to respond by saying it was an innocent. This isn't an issue of like 20 years ago, I got a DUI or something, right? This isn't even, by the way, I would say a sex scandal, because, you see that a lot, right? So someone gets caught in an affair and that kind of tanks their political candidacy. This, by the way, has been used against a lot of Republican governors candidates as of late. I think of someone like Mark Robinson and others, right? This is significantly worse than all of that. Because this is not about personal infidelity or anything like weird or past even crimes you've committed in your personal life. This is a direct message as to how he's going to govern. This is him saying, by the way, as the Attorney General, the person in charge of the law of the state, that he fantasizes about killing Republicans and their children, right? So let that be said. I don't know, what's the excuse for this going to be? Like my dog walked across the keyboard, it's an autocorrect mistake, or this is an issue of, you got too drunk one night and we're saying some little things. No, again, here's the text messages as just one example, right? So from Jay Jones talking about Republican lawmakers, if those guys die before me, I will go to the funerals to piss on their graves, send them out awash in something. And keep in mind, the context is he accidentally texted this to a Republican colleague. And, you would think, oh, shoot, unsend the message. I didn't mean that, whatever. No. How sick in the head is this guy? He doubles down on it. So not only does he say he wants to piss on the graves of Republicans, he further goes on to say, quote, 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, the Republican House Speaker, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. So here he is openly fantasizing, right, about killing the Republican House Speaker. He goes on to say a bunch of screwed up things about his children even. And apparently the response, though, from Virginia Beach Democrats is just to say, quote, Jay Jones has taken responsibility, apologized, and shown he is committed to serving with integrity and accountability that his public record already shows. Yeah, because that's something as a political candidate, talking about killing Republicans, you can just say, oh, I was sorry. I was just a little too far, right? This is not you misspeaking. This is not an issue of, oh, I got like a detail wrong in a story, This is blatantly or calling your opponent like a B word or something. No, this is blatantly, again, calling for their murder. And according to Democrats, oh, not a big deal. This is something we can just apparently brush off. And that's what the state party is doing in defending him. So he goes on here to state that Virginians deserve a leader who learns, grows, and stands for everyday people. And Jay is that leader. He's learned from it, guys. Keep in mind, this was not something he said like 40 years ago. He said this 3 years ago. It was in 2022 that he made these comments. But surely he's matured since then. No longer does he want to commit political violence against Republicans.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. I mean, this is ridiculous. And you would think that there would be other Democrats that come out and say, this is something that he shouldn't have said. I mean, but no, they don't. Okay, whoever has not sinned, cast the first stone. Unbelievable. Okay, let me show you here that this video does come from Vince Dow. I am subscribed to his channel. I'm giving him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump down here. And folks, if there's anybody out there, it looks like I've got 16 people watching. Give me a chat. Let me know who you are, where you're from, what you like to see. Okay, moving on to Rubin Report. Watch Douglas Murray make host go silent with his warning. Now they're going to be talking about Great Britain, but I tell you, we're only a couple of steps behind Great Britain. That is, if the Democrats get back in power. But let's take a listen and see what he has to say. Okay, and again, if this gets started, we'll be doing fantastic.
all the places.
Why were the Abedi, hang on, why were the Abedi family in the UK? Why is nobody interested in asking that?
For over a decade, Douglas has been screaming, not screaming, he's
Sorry, folks, I'm having all kinds of problems here. Let me get this screen up for you again. Let me get back here and actually share the Rubin Report video.
screaming.
Started back at the beginning. There
Why were the Abedi, hang on, why were the Abedi family in the UK? Why is nobody interested in asking that?
For over a decade, Douglas has been screaming, not screaming, he's Douglas Murray, so he does it more like this. It's not very screamy. But he has been warning. He has written several books about it. One night about maybe 8 years ago, I took a walk with Douglas through London about 10 p.m. We walked around for about 2 hours, and we walked through, he kept showing me all the places that terrorist attacks had occurred, or where stabbings had occurred, or where they now had the barriers so that cars couldn't go through. And he no longer lives in the UK. He lives in America now because he was warning about this. He was telling people, hey guys, the barbarians are at the gate, and they just kept letting the barbarians in. Here they are, and here's Douglas Murray.
No, just bear with me because I know better than you what I think. This country has had a wildly stupid and lax immigration policy for decades. And we allowed people like the Abedi family, a family of jihadists who'd fallen out with Colonel Gaddafi because they were from rival jihadist groups. When the Abedi family fell out with Colonel Gaddafi, they came first to London and then to Manchester. And one of the sons they gave this country was Salman Abedi, who at the age of 22 killed 22 young girls at the Manchester Arena with a suicide bomb. One, by the way, for every year of life this country gave him. His brothers just stabbed and thrown boiling oil at 3 prison wards. Let me bear with you. Why were the Abedi, hang on, why were the Abedi family in the UK? Why is nobody interested in asking that? And I'll tell you what the problem here is. There are lots of types of extremism. Far-right extremism, far-left extremism. When it comes to jihad extremism, jihadism comes from Islam. If it's 5% people, Muslim faith, who follow that, very hell of a problem. More people, the larger, this is simple math, the larger the number of people who are followers of a faith that has not solved the extremism problem in its midst or drawn suitable lines, the more extremism you will have. You don't get that from the Catholic Church in 2023 or 4. You don't get it from the Methodists, you won't get it from the Quakers, and you won't get it from the Anglican Church. Of course.
Did you know most methylene blue sold online is same grade tanks? That means metals often for heavy metal.
Okay,
That's why you got brain fun. And don't worry, choose a trode, Rubin. If there's a couple of things. Do you think that anything said there because Douglas is racist? Do you think if there had been a of immigration in the UK over the last 20 years and they vetted people, they were like, well, actually, we can support this many people and they will have jobs and they'll integrate properly. Had it all been right, do you think Douglas Murray is up there giving that talk? The answer, obviously, is no. Instead, you create a situation where you dump all of these people into a country. You don't know exactly why. They don't have anything in common with the native population. As a matter of fact, they have, I would say, you could almost say diametrically opposed views in most situations. They want to become a dominating culture. And you have someone like Douglas Murray, who was sounding the alarm on the thing over a decade ago. Everyone was calling him a right-wing extremist. And finally now, likely when it is too late for the UK, because I don't think they'll do what they have to do. Now it's like you can talk about it, right? Like Elon's talking about this stuff. There's more and more people talking about it. But Douglas was early in on it, and he warned you guys. And good luck with all of that.
Alrighty, folks, there you have it. Let me go ahead and click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from the Rubin Report. I am following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, jump back here and move on to X22 Report, his episode 3746B. Deep State is fighting back. They are forming the Insurrection. Forming the Insurrection. Trump set up the path to destruction. Okay, well, let's take a listen to that and see what Rubin Report has to say. Okay, and again, I hope this gets started. Just waiting on Rumble. I'm going to start this out about the 2-minute and past his advertisement. So here again, we're just waiting on Rumble.
Financial advisor before
there
making
we go.
Let's get
Oh.
into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech, fake news, the puppet masters, we knew eventually they were going to fight back with everything that they have. And you have to remember, we are still at war. The war has not ended. Did we win the war? No. So the deep state players, every step of the way, they're going to be fighting back. And that's what we're seeing right now. And I do believe it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. It doesn't mean the Patriots aren't in control. It just means that Trump is leading them down this path, and why interfere with an enemy while they're in the process of destroying themselves? We've always known that these individuals, they were going to push an insurrection. Actually, they already did. They did this during 2020 and on January 6th. But this insurrection is going to be very, very different, because this is going to be in the insurrection where people are going to see it is truly them. You see, before, what they did when they created the insurrection, they hid behind the people and shifted the blame on we, the people. This time around, Trump and the Patriots, they want everyone to know who the insurrectionists are. He's funding the remember everything. So what Trump and the Patriots are doing right now is they're allowing players to lay for. We don't want 2 or 3 over there. We want funding to. We want individuals that are going to guard. We want out and center. And we want all of the set up shop in all these come out and set up shop. Make sure that we can find legal, bring the criminals. We want it because I'll call up his position, the national government. Why he and from either the federal courts or the Supreme Court, which I do, that's what he's going to get. Now, every step of the way, we are now judges don't permitting correction. This is ruling against Trump. Now, by the way, to appeal is going to win, and a precedent that he gets was play want guard in their area, want correction part of the insurrection. When you're scratching, I don't understand what Pritzker's doing. I don't understand what the mayor of Portland's doing or governor of Oregon's doing. You have to remember, they're part of the deep state. The state low-level people that they get paid off and do. And they know that if they don't have these illegals in the cities, going to lose votes. These are the So yes, we are still at war. That's not ended. And this is just one part of the war. Think about the other part of the war that the deep state players are trying to start. That is World War III. It's part of their 16-year plan. Trump knows exactly what they're doing, but and this path, because Trump would never be to do less people. And think about how we people on his side. He needed the people to walk through 4 years. The Biden administration, which is really the Obama administration, and those other people that were in his everything that they had planned to do according to the 16-year plan. This was the only way to wake the American. Now, the insurrectionists are waking a lot of people up, because when you see eagles going after the people that are trying to the voters, and when you see these people pushing back, they're actually an insurrection against this country. What do you think this is going to do? This is going to bring more and more people to the side of Trump. As things get worse. I think Trump is counting on this because he needs the power of the patriots, the power of the people. That is the strength. That is what he uses against the deep state players. Yeah, these news, the deep players, they don't have the people. The only people that are rooting, the rest of the country is looking at going, yeah, we're not around. Look, we're side. Cities, you're going to have these people hurt citizens of the cities. We're not on your side. And Trump is counting on this. He's not counting on them to hurt people, but he's counting on the people to see this. The people to say, you know what? Enough is enough. Like when you had the people coming over the border, people said enough is enough. That's what's happened. And still at the deep, they're going to, if you thought, oh, thing was just going to go back, I don't know what that was. We're infiltrated by the deep players. And they're fighting Trump, hunting them down with the power of. So going to be attacked, get worse in each of these cities. See the governors, the mayor, any other people really feel yes, not holding back anymore. They're becoming frustrated. They're becoming angry. And I do believe Trump and the Patriots, this is what they want the people to see. They want the people to see who the true insurrectionists are. They want the people to see that these people are not capable of holding office. And as they pretty much reach a point where they can't take it, I'm talking about the deep state players, they're going to lash out. And they're going to say things that I don't think people are going to believe. And then once they say it, the people are going to say, I don't think these people should be in office. They're a little nutso. They want people dead. This doesn't make any sense. And we know that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the FBI, the DOJ, they're now tracking all the funding. I mean, what do you think is happening right now? Trump is allowing Antifa to do what they do best. Actually, what the deep state players do, let them do what they do best. Because if you allow Antifa to build and build and build, they got to get the funding someplace. Someone is funding them. And all you got to do is track the funding. Why shut it down now? You don't want it shut down. Yes, you're going to bring the National Guard in and you're going to pre-position, but you want them to keep doing it because this way it allows Trump and team to track where the money is coming from. I think they already know. But again, for those people that are just joining what is happening right now, he needs to make it look good. So he's going to allow Antifa to do this because you can track them in this, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. And in the if Trump is doing exactly Abraham Lincoln. Remember, South was fighting. It was fighting against the United States government. They rose up and they were fighting to keep their slaves. They were fighting against the federal government. Isn't this the same exact thing? These people want to keep their criminals. They want to keep their illegals, and they're fighting against the federal government. They're fighting against the people. Think about it for a second. It's the same people that fought the Civil War back then. These are the same exact people. I don't mean physically. I mean, they are pretty much of the same type of person. That hasn't gone away. And they're fighting to keep their illegals. They're fighting to keep everyone in slavery. They're fighting to keep all of this. And they will go against the federal government. And Abraham Lincoln, he had to fight those people just like Trump is fighting these people. It's pretty much the same exact thing. We'll be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about Bad Bunny. Because we can see we're about 4 months away from the Super Bowl. And Bad Bunny, he was on SNL, and we'll put this out. And he let us know that we're going to have to learn Spanish in the next 4 months. I don't for the know that English is the language of America, it's the official language of America. How many people are going to tune out now? And I do believe in the end, what people are going to realize is that the NFL screwed up as usual, and the ratings are going to go down the drain. I think it's going to be a complete and utter disaster if they keep this up. But Doge Puerto Rico put this out and said the truth about Bad Bunny. Most people don't know this. Bad Bunny's record label, Rimas Entertainment, was founded by Rafael Ricardo Jimenez Dan, a Venezuelan entrepreneur and former captain in the Venezuelan army. He even served as vice minister of legal certainty under Hugo Chavez government from 2006 to 2007, and is known to be a Maduro supporter. So when you see the political messages and the left-wing agendas being pushed through his music and image, now you know where the inspiration comes from. Straight out of Chavismo ideology. Absolutely. And we could see that the deep state players, they're going to push this, but I think the people are going to push back, and I think it's going to be a complete and utter disaster. I wouldn't be surprised if this latest Super Bowl has the lowest ratings we have ever seen. But let's see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting, because I think when people are starting to hear this, I think people are going to say, you want to play this game? Listen, look what we did to Bud Light. Look what we did to Cracker Barrel. Look what we're going to do to the NFL. And I think there's going to be no coming back from this one. But let's see how it all plays out. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is Trump is telling the networks, listen, it's time to let certain individuals to go. I know you're afraid to let them go because it's going to be seen as racist or whatever. But again, these people have no talent. These people must be removed from the networks. And this is what he put out on Truth. I knew Al Sharpton for many years. Not that it matters, but he was a major Trump fan. He'd asked me to go to his fake rallies all the time because I brought big crowds, and he couldn't get anybody to come without me. Then he did the Tawana Brawley hoax, one of the worst low-level scams in history, and that set him back big time. Then he got to know Brian Roberts, chairman of Fake News NBC, who gave him what would become one of the lowest rated shows in television history. Roberts is afraid to take him off because it wouldn't be politically correct. This is just one of the many reasons that Federal Communications Commission should look into the license of NBC, which shows almost exclusively positive Democrat content. Likewise, ABC Fake News, about the same thing, 97% negative to Republicans. And once again, think about all these people that have really low ratings, have no viewership. How are they keeping their type of someone business that's losing money every day? Can you imagine if you own a business and you're like, oh, you're losing money every day? You know what? We're keeping you. We're going to pay you more money. It doesn't even make any sense. But you can see that things are going to be changing now because Steak and Shake, they decided to go full patriot. They decided that they were going to raise the American flags and they were going to put up billboards of Charlie Kirk tributes all over the place. You know what's going to happen to Steak and Shake? And as they're going to start to think to themselves, wow, look what they did. They raised the flag. They support Trump. They support American values. And their business is taking off. Plus, they're using tallow now to cook the organic, if they haven't gone already. And they're going to do very, very well in the future. Let's see how this all plays out. It's going to be very, very interesting. But when you start to look at all the illegals, you could see the deep state players. They're doing everything they possibly can to try to stop Trump. You have to remember, they need the illegals in this country. They are the constituents. They're great chaos in their area. They also use them to get federal money. And all of it is coming to an end right now. And they're holding on to whatever they have right now. Remember, they don't have additional illegals coming into this country. And they know that they have to keep these illegals and the other criminals as best they possibly can, because if they don't, they're screwed. They will never, ever win another election. Jason put this out and said, notes, I'm for closing the border. I'm for deporting criminals. I'm against mass sadistic ICE Gov agents brutalizing the immigrants who came here over the last 40 years and to build our country. We're spending for goal is to project cruelty and authoritarian control. Geiger Capital responded to him and said, we told you mass deportations are ugly. That's why you don't allow approximately 15 million illegal immigrants to enter the country in 4 years while doing nothing except repeating the border is secure. Blame the people who allowed it to happen, not the people who have to clean it up. And he's absolutely right. You go back to the source of the problem. The source of the problem is the Biden administration. They paid for the people to come in here. Now we have to pay to get the people out of here.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the illegals are costing them the American dollars, billions of ever. So for a second, all the money going. Well, you have to go back to the problem and ask yourself a question. Why did they do that? Why did they send them money? Because they spent money bringing these people into this country. And with everything added up, they're estimating between $400 and $600 billion. I mean, really think about that. So, again, you got to go to the source of the problem. We could have saved all that money. If they didn't bring any of these people in here, we would have saved all that. Now we had to spend that money and then spend money to remove them. So, if you're going to blame anyone, you got to go right back to the source, and that's exactly what you have to do with pretty much everything. And you can see that the state players, they are now telling their people to attack the federal agents. So in a shocking escalation of violence against federal law enforcement, Department of Homeland Security agents were ambushed and rammed by an armed suspect in Broadview, Illinois. The attack involved 10 vehicles boxing in the agent's car, forced officers to fire defensive shots at the assailant, and U.S. citizen woman armed with a semi-automatic weapon. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin confirmed the details in a bombshell X post, and this is what she put out. The morning during routine patrolling in Broadview, the same area of Chicago, the law enforcement were today. Our brave law enforcement officers were rammed by vehicles and boxed in cars. For vehicles and exit, one of the draw rammed the law enforcement was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. Law enforcement forced the weapon and defense at an armed citizen drove her to the hospital. Get the armed woman was named in a boxing agents and posting online, "Hey to all my gangs, let's F those mother effers. Don't let them take anyone." Thankfully, no law enforcement officers were seriously injured in this attack. And you could see that Pritzker's Chicago Police Department is leaving the shooting scene and refuses to assist in securing the area. So basically, the police in Chicago were ordered to basically step down. Dapper Detective put this out and says, here is the radio transmission that confirms Chicago police were ordered not to respond to calls for help from ICE after a domestic terror attack on their agents surrounded by insurgents yesterday. Take a listen to the recording.
999 just took him from 39 because they were saying that they were surrounded by that large crowd and requesting the police were not sent. I'm waving off all the cars heading to 39th Place in Catsy.
Again, those are the orders we're being given.
Okay, 10-4. And again, for all the units that we called to go over that way, 39th Place in Kedzie, if you could just hold off 911, 913, 923, 924, 933, 934. Just disregard that 39th Place in Kedzie.
So that's absolutely unbelievable. So the police were ordered to stand down, but police are supposed to help other police officers. And what's very interesting is that the National Fraternal Order of Police, they decided to respond to all this. Election Wizard put this out and said, National Fraternal Order of Police condemns Chicago police commanders for prohibiting rank-and-file officers from aiding ICE agents surrounded by protesters. When an officer calls for assistance, you answer, no matter what. Absolutely. This is absolutely horrific, but it tells you everything you need to know. You can see the insurrection that is now forming in this country. Not just in Chicago, but in LA, in Portland, Oregon, and you're going to see it in many other areas. Most likely New York is going to be next. But when you really start to look at this, the Dems right now, they're actually getting involved in the insurrection. So they're funding these people, and now they're involved in all of this. Clandestine put this out and said, this is textbook legal definition of an insurrection. Chicago mayor says he signed an executive order to rein in the Trump administration and set up ICE-free zones. I remember when they set up free speech zones, gun-free zones. Now it's ICE-free zones. They're obstructing federal law enforcement. This is 1860s type of stuff. Absolutely. And when you look at Portland, for example, you can see that they're being funded. They have drinks, they have tents, they have pre-made signs that are paid for. They have it all. Wall Street Apes put this out and said, just look at this. Look at these stations set up for Portland ICE protesters. I paused and slowly skimmed the video. There are pre-made signs, coolers, food, cases of water, traffic cones for protesting grills, cases of paperwork, logo shirts, likely NGOs, and more. This is all paid for. So the question is, where did all of this money come from? Who is funding the terrorist organization? Well, I do believe that is being looked into right now. And yes, Carolyn Levitt already confirms this. And they're going to find out who is funding all of this, because all you need is Doge. All you need is Scott Pecent.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that right now. He's going into a commercial anyway. I'm like 23 minutes into this 1 hour and 18-minute video. All right, let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video, my screen comes back, come from X22 report. There we go. X22 report. I'm subscribed information from Wendy Bell, because she had, as always, as usual, she had a great show today. So let me go ahead and share this. If I can get this going.
Some kind of big bombshell news out there, but I hate to always say to you, surprise, not surprised. See, when you always base what you interpret the news of the day through the lenses that you have grown naturally, and you know that by and large, if it's coming from the mainstream news, you are being lied to, well, you've been very suspicious of a lot of people for an awfully long time. And the real story, everything that you and I have gone through over the last 5 years. So let's go back to COVID, right? Let's go back to all of it. It's all about keeping you from knowing the truth about the 2020 election. That's it. That's the story. That they worked like hell to steal 2016. Every poll showed Hillary. Running away with it, Trump. What a fool. Why would anybody vote for that? Yeah, about that. 63 million people found plenty of reasons why. We'd already gone through 8 years of Barack Obama. Hope and change. What an ineffective zero. And what a shame. What a lost opportunity. America's first black president. We're setting history here, right? What a failure. What an abject setback for American race relations, political relations. But my. During those 8 years, did the swamp get very bold and very brazen in its depravity. See, the people who run the country, who are corrupt, needed to continue so that they can stay in office and be insulated against actual justice. After all, no one is above the law, we've been told. But after Donald Trump won in 2016 and shocked the deep state. Didn't shock you. Didn't shock me. I got exactly what I voted for. Somebody I believed was incorruptible. Somebody I believed whose character and morality, from what I could glean, and just looking at his family, his business, his reputation, his wealth, his wife. Look at how the man carried himself. Look at how the man did business. Look at how he used his family name to do so much good. I didn't believe Donald Trump could be bought. And we were right. And they were scared. And so beginning the day after that election in 2016, the deep state went to work, ladies and gentlemen. They started concocting stories. They started the Russia collusion nonsense to bog an incoming president down with rumor and rhetoric and lies and propaganda. And the lapdog media was delighted to hook, line, and sinker do it with them. And alas, what? Americans' trust in the media has plummeted to a new all-time low. Surprised it's even at 26 or 28%. Protecting the 2020 election. That is what this is about. That's what COVID was about. Smokescreen. Get everybody sick, make everybody scared, push out the paper ballots, make everything really complicated, have secretaries of state change the rules, move the goalposts on a dime. Well, you know what? Don't worry about dates that the mail-in ballots have to be mailed or received by. Don't worry about a signature verification. What? They voted 10 times? I'm sure that's not the case. That's not possible. Like, illegals can't possibly get free health care. Right. And then what did they do? We watched in real time as happened on election night 2020. We watched as President Trump was the first presidential candidate in American history to lose votes on live television.
Absolutely.
Seeing the gay lords packed with ballots that had been filled out. Interesting. Over his places, saying, you know what? Water break, but I didn't see any plumbers, and then all of a sudden they put all the percent home. Goes and the night, and then again, your big lie. And then January 6th, the ultimate trap, 274 undercover free federal agents around protecting MAGA. To do what? To do what wasn't going Because you know what flag MAGA wearing people do? They don't fiddle with law enforcement. And then what they do? Fire bullets, rubber bullets into the crowd, pushed people off of the overhangs. We watched the undercover federal agents smash. Don't forget, dressed in like ninjas who got a PBS at the front of the Capitol, right? And what did they do? They broke into the Capitol. And 1,500 people, many of them for life, and some even there that day. And now, today, got it on CNN or MSNBC. Smith, the guy going after Donald Trump for January 6th. The insurrection was really the plan to spy on Republicans, 9 of them, 8 senators and 1 congressperson, to wiretap their phones, follow their phone calls, and find out if any of them were on to the fraud called 2020. This is my hypothesis. I will tell you I'm very rarely wrong. I am not wrong. How will America feel when they realize that Joe Biden, of course, never got 81 million votes? How will they feel? Hasn't just won twice, it's been thrice. How do all of the dictatorial, tyrannical edicts, mandates, emergency orders, finger wagging, scolding, and offenses to your constitutional freedoms and liberty, stealing an election in broad daylight? Of course, that's the truth. And everything you're going to hear today is some kind of an inspiration to draw apart. Look, come over here, fighting with ice. Look over here. Right. Don't be fooled. 2020. It all comes back to that. Now remind yourself, all those people out there who told you that was the safest, most secure election ever. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there, folks. I mean, she put it all in a nutshell. Although she said we've been dealing with it for 5 years. Actually, we've been dealing with it for decades. They've been lying to us for decades. Unbelievable. So let me go ahead and click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from Wendy Radio. I am subscribed, following. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here, and let me remind you folks that these videos are videos that come directly from the producers. I have links to the videos here in the description box, along with the links to the channels. Before we move on, I do want to share it's got some great information here that I think you might be interested in.
Let's be clear, cryptocurrency is no longer emerging, it's here. And this latest move cements that reality in the biggest way yet. Trump Media Group just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Crypto.com, the world's top crypto platform.
They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cashback on your spends to launch America's first CRO treasury. When it's done, this new company will be the biggest CRO holder out there.
Want in on the action? Head to Crypto.com today and grab some CRO. Let's make crypto great again.
Okay. All righty. Let's jump up here and let me take a look at the chats. All right, looks like we've got a few chats here from Foxy Grandma and M41 Coco. Let me copy those into a comment because, as I always say, I like the live chats to be part of the video, and when the video is, this live stream is over, the live chats just kind of fade away into cyberspace. So there we have that. Let me do a quick refresh here on the screen. All right. Looks like we've got 119 people watching, and I've got 7 thumbs up. So, you know, if I could get 112 of you to just scroll down here and give me a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate that. These videos that I have shared with you today and listed here in the description box are videos that I've posted on tech.com. Okay? There we go. Must be the wire in this one. Low. I have here at Mertech.com, look to Mertech.com, and we're 5 no common sense that you can do with videos. Right down here's the video I shared with you from X22 Report. The video I shared with you from Wendy Bell. The video that I shared with you from Vince Dow. The video from Rubin Report. All this great information. Now, I don't have time to share all of this with you, but I do have my daily news wrap-up coming up here about 9:30. So go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee and a donut or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, and meet me back here at 9:30. I've got over 80 videos in my playlist to start the daily news wrap-up information that is dropped all day long. We're going to go over that here in just a little bit. So give me time to update my list, get the video set up in Rumble Studio,